It was a quiet evening in Sarasota, Florida, a day like any other, until the unexpected happened. The sun had just begun to set, casting a golden glow over the streets as families settled in for the night. The sound of children playing outside filled the air, their laughter a testament to the innocence of youth. Among them was an 8-year-old boy, full of life and energy, riding his dirt bike, his most cherished possession, a recent early birthday gift. The boy loved the thrill of riding, feeling the wind rush past him as he maneuvered the familiar streets of his neighborhood. It was supposed to be just another evening of fun, but in a matter of seconds, everything changed. A Sarasota police officer was wrapping up a call in the neighborhood, his patrol car idling at an intersection. The officer had been responding to a routine service call, something that was part of his daily duties. As he began to leave the scene, his patrol car moved forward at the same moment the young boy rode into the street. The collision was sudden and brutal, the sound of metal meeting flesh and bone shattering the peaceful evening. Within moments, screams filled the air as neighbors and family members rushed toward the scene, their faces filled with horror and disbelief. The sight before them was one they could never have prepared for: an innocent child lying motionless on the pavement, his small body crumpled under the impact of the vehicle. The panic was immediate. The officer jumped out of his car, visibly shaken, and rushed toward the child. His hands trembled as he knelt beside the boy, his training kicking in despite the shock gripping him. With desperate urgency, he began administering chest compressions, his voice firm but pleading, as he called for medical assistance through his radio. Every second felt like an eternity as the crowd around him grew, neighbors gasping in horror, some praying under their breath, others calling out in confusion and grief. The body camera footage later released by the Sarasota Police Department painted a vivid picture of the chaos and raw emotions of that night. The officer, though shaken, had acted quickly, trying to stabilize the boy as best as he could while waiting for emergency responders. The surrounding crowd, a mix of fear and anger, watched anxiously, some shouting questions, others demanding answers. In the confusion, the boy's mother arrived at the scene, her face a portrait of terror as she pushed through the onlookers and fell to her knees beside her son. Paramedics arrived within minutes, their sirens wailing as they pulled up to the scene. The boy was carefully lifted onto a stretcher and rushed to Johns Hopkins All-Children's Hospital. His injuries were severe, requiring immediate surgery. He suffered multiple fractures, a serious head injury, and internal bleeding. Doctors worked tirelessly through the night, performing emergency procedures in an attempt to stabilize his condition. His mother, pacing the hospital hallway, could barely hold back her sobs as she awaited news on whether her child would survive. Word of the accident spread quickly, sending shockwaves through the Sarasota community. The sight of a child being struck by a police vehicle was something no one could easily process, and emotions ran high as people tried to make sense of what had happened. Some blamed the officer, questioning whether he had been driving too fast. Others pointed out the unpredictability of children, arguing that accidents, as tragic as they are, can happen in the blink of an eye. The debates raged on, fueled by social media discussions and news reports that dissected every detail of the incident. Sarasota Police Chief Rex Trosha addressed the public in a formal statement, expressing his deepest sympathies for the injured child and his family. He assured the community that a thorough investigation was underway and that the department was committed to transparency. The officer involved in the accident was placed on restricted administrative duty pending the outcome of the inquiry. The Florida Highway Patrol took the lead in the investigation, working alongside the Sarasota Police Department to piece together what had led to the devastating collision. Questions quickly emerged. Was the officer speeding? Had he failed to check his surroundings before moving his vehicle? Witnesses were interviewed, and surveillance footage was reviewed to determine the sequence of events leading up to the crash. Investigators examined the patrol car's black box, searching for data that could provide insight into the officer's speed and braking patterns at the time of impact. Every detail mattered, as the community sought not only answers, but also assurances that steps would be taken to prevent such an incident from happening again. For the boy's family, the days that followed were filled with uncertainty and pain. His mother, overwhelmed with grief and frustration, spoke out about the accident, questioning why the officer had been driving so fast in a residential area. Her words resonated with many parents in the community who had long voiced concerns about speeding cars in neighborhoods where children played. The incident reignited discussions about traffic safety and law enforcement protocols, with residents calling for stricter speed limits, better signage, and more accountability for drivers, especially those in positions of authority. As the boy remained in the hospital, fighting to recover, the community rallied around him. Candlelight vigils were held outside the hospital, with dozens of people gathering to offer prayers and support for his family. Local businesses organized fundraisers to help cover medical expenses, and neighbors delivered meals to his grieving mother, ensuring she had one less thing to worry about. It was a testament to the strength of the Sarasota community, a collective effort to uplift a family in their darkest hour. The broader conversation surrounding the accident extended beyond Sarasota. Across the country, similar cases had sparked debates about the responsibilities of law enforcement officers when driving through residential areas. Advocates for safer streets pushed for reforms, calling on cities to implement more robust safety measures. Community leaders urged city officials to prioritize road safety initiatives, including speed bumps, pedestrian crossings, and educational programs aimed at promoting cautious driving. The hope was that out of this tragedy, meaningful change could emerge. As weeks passed, the investigation neared its conclusion. The findings would determine whether the officer had been at fault or if the collision had been an unfortunate accident with no clear negligence. Regardless of the outcome, the incident served as a sobering reminder of how quickly life can change and the importance of vigilance on the road. The young boy's journey to recovery was long and grueling. His doctors worked tirelessly, performing multiple surgeries to repair the damage caused by the impact. Physical therapy sessions became part of his daily routine as he struggled to regain his strength. Each small victory, wiggling his toes, sitting up in bed, taking his first steps, was celebrated by his family and the community that had come to see him as a symbol of resilience. The road ahead was uncertain, but one thing remained clear: the events of that fateful evening would not be forgotten. Sarasota had been shaken to its core, but it had also come together in an extraordinary display of unity and compassion. The accident had left scars, both physical and emotional, but it had also sparked a movement toward greater awareness and accountability. For the boy and his family, life would never be the same. The memories of that night, the flashing lights, the sound of sirens, the fear in his mother's eyes would linger. But so, too, would the kindness of strangers, the unwavering support of a community, and the determination to ensure that no other child would have to endure the same fate. In the end, amidst the pain and the heart-ache, there was hope. Hope that lessons would be learned, that roads would be made safer, and that the echoes of this tragedy would serve as a powerful reminder of the fragility of life and the responsibility that comes with every turn of the wheel.